Fani Taifa Willis, /FAH-nee, FAH-nee, born 1971, is an American attorney. She is the district attorney of Fulton County, Georgia, which contains most of Atlanta, serving since 2021. She is the first woman to hold the office. Willis was born in Inglewood, California. Her father, John C. Floyd III, was a founder of a faction of the Black Panthers, but grew disillusioned by the movement's infighting. My name is actually Fani, fɑːniː. Taifa is my middle name, and my last name is Willis. So, my father was a Black Panther, so he was very Afrocentric. My name is Swahili. Fani actually means prosperous, and Taifa means people. We're not talking about material things and wealth, we're talking about that stuff that really matters. I always remember my roots, that I come from a prosperous people, which are African people. When Willis was in the first grade, her family moved to Washington, D.C., where her father practiced law as a criminal defense attorney. Her parents divorced and her mother eventually moved back to California. Willis mostly stayed with her father. Willis studied political science at Howard University, graduating cum laude in 1993, then moved to Atlanta to attend Emory University School of Law, graduating in 1996 with a Juris Doctor. Her first government job was as a solicitor, prosecuting misdemeanors and city ordinance violations. She spent 16 years as a prosecutor in the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. Her most prominent case was her prosecution of the Atlanta Public Schools cheating scandal. Willis, an assistant district attorney at the time, served as lead prosecutor in the 2014 to 2015 trial of 12 educators accused of correcting answers entered by students to inflate the scores of state-administered standardized tests. 11 of the 12 were convicted of racketeering under Georgia's RICO statute in April 2015. In 2018, she went into private practice that year. She ran for a seat on the Fulton County Superior Court and lost in 2019. Willis became chief municipal judge for South Fulton, Georgia. Willis investigated the 2020 presidential election in Georgia, which resulted in indictments against Donald Trump and 18 alleged co-conspirators on charges of racketeering and other crimes. On the day she took the Georgia bar exam, Willis met Fred Willis, who was working an extra job as a videographer. They married in 1996 and have 2 daughters. They divorced in 2005. Willis said that she has been in a relationship with Nathan Wade since 2022. In 2020, Willis was elected district attorney for Fulton County, defeating Paul Howard Jr., a 6-term incumbent and her former boss. In this role, she is known for successfully using Georgia's RICO statute to prosecute non-mobsters and, as of 2023, is using the same statute to prosecute former President Donald Trump and 18 alleged co-conspirators. 2020 Election Influence Investigation. Main articles: 2020 Georgia Election Investigation and Georgia Election Racketeering Prosecution. On February 10, 2021, Willis launched a criminal investigation into Donald Trump's attempts to influence Georgia election officials, including the governor, the attorney general, and Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger via a telephone call, to find enough votes to override Joe Biden's win in that state and thus undo Biden's victory in the 2020 presidential election. In January 2022, she requested a special grand jury to consider charges of election interference by Trump and his allies. In May, a 26-member special grand jury was given investigative authority and subpoena power and tasked with submitting a report to the judge and Willis on whether a crime was committed. Willis sent target letters to people she is investigating related to the fake electors plot. These include 2 Republican officials, State Senator Brandon Beach and David Schaefer, chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, and the 16 people who falsely presented themselves as electors. She also sent a target letter to State Senator Burt Jones, but then a judge said she could not target Jones due to a conflict of interest, which was created by Willis hosting a fundraiser for the Democratic candidate for lieutenant governor. After hearing from 75 witnesses, including former U.S. Senator Kelly Loeffler, former White House counsel Pat Cipollone, and possibly Sidney Powell, the special grand jury completed its work and was dissolved on January 9, 2023. On February 16, following a judge's order, parts of the report were released. The judge did not permit the release of recommendations for possible charges, intending to preserve the due process for anyone who might be indicted later. Several days later, the foreperson of the grand jury hinted that the recommendations were not some giant plot twist and that no one would be surprised. Willis's office indicted Trump and 18 others on 41 charges on August 14, 2023. A February 2024 court filly.